Welcome to Is Anybody Listening to Me podcast with Azar and the Meat. It's been a long time since the holiday break, since we last did our last holiday podcast, but we're back at it. I'm Azar, and let me introduce my partner in crime, Big Meat.
Hey, Azar, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I know, it's been a long time. It was like a little off season for us, but we needed that little break. We've been working hard on these podcasts.
Working hard is a strong term to be used by all of us in this room.
It's like I haven't had any whiskey since then. It's like I've been dying to have some more whiskey during these things.
Yes, this is where he gets to tap in and take my stock of whiskey out of my own house.
That's right.
You freeloader.
And you got some good stuff today here. Some sipping some deliciousness.
Yeah, let's start off with our usual. Let's give our alcohol review of the podcast. And this one came from our third man in, highly recommended. Our partner Jarvis told us to get this, and he didn't steer us wrong. Screwball peanut butter whiskey. You would think it would sound gross just by the name of it, a peanut butter whiskey. And I got to say, it's probably one of my favorite whiskeys right now to drink. I've actually really clung on to it. More of a dessert whiskey in my mind. Like, I don't think I would drink it start with and all day. But I think it's definitely like something if you're hanging out, maybe with a cigar afterwards.
Yeah,
it's a tasty treat.
It's very sweet, and it's the first whiskey I've ever heard of that's peanut butter flavored of any drink of any type of liquor, and it is pretty good. I don't know if you have too many of them though. It would be rough. It would be rough to have. It's really sweet, and I love my honey and maple flavored whiskeys, but even those. After a couple, you gotta just go with something a little bit less sugary.
You go with the more traditional. I think that's kind of like what I was saying. Like, I would probably drink my Johnny Walker if I'm drinking scotch, if I'm drinking, or like a blended scotch. But if you want a single, whatever you drink, you might want to do your Jim Beam, your Jack Daniels, if you want bourbons or something. You might start with that through the night, but you might want to wrap up if you want a change of taste. Screwball is a really good whiskey. I think it's different. It's an oddball taste. I can't put my finger on. Like, it tastes like peanut butter, but it doesn't. It's just weird, but it's good.
It's a screwball taste.
It's a screwball,
not an oddball taste. It's a screwball taste.
But it's good, and if you really wanted to, you could drink a whole bottle of it. It's just I just think it's so sweet. I don't know if I'd want to just drink a whole bottle of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you're right. It is. You described it well when you said it. It's really kind of like a dessert.
Yeah.
It's like a dessert
after dinner.
After dinner, right? Yeah. Right, with a nice cigar. I think it'd be great. So I think it's one of the better whiskeys that we've tried here, and or one of the better whiskeys that we've talked about on our podcast. So yeah, I think it's really good, and we have to give all the credit to our third man in.
Yeah, he was right. We thought he was crazy, but I've seen it more and more. It came when I've been stocking the New Hampshire liquor stores, and they started bringing it up, and it's been pretty popular. I hear more of it now. I hear people trying it now, where I'd never heard of it before. 6 months ago, I've never heard of peanut butter whiskey. I gotta say,
me neither.
So, me neither. And I did the New Hampshire liquor store attendee that was working attendant. She did tell me that she saw it down south, and they serve it down south, and they blend it with some drinks with cranberry juice and Chambord to make peanut butter and jelly. That's how it's served in the south. So,
which, by the way, I don't know what it is, because the first time I tried this was about a month ago, and since then I've had a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I don't know if it's because of this drink that got me into now I just love peanut butter and jelly, but maybe that's it.
That's kind of creepy. That's actually what I had for lunch today. I was craving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Whatever it is, it's addicting. But I don't know how popular this is yet. Like, if you asked 100 people, how many people would know about this? Because if it starts gaining in popularity, I wouldn't doubt to see other whiskey manufacturers coming out with their own peanut butter. Like, Jack Daniels has all their flavors. They don't have a peanut butter flavored one. I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce one at some point.
Yeah. I when you talk to people about flavored whiskeys, I'm surprised about how many flavors there are out there. I didn't think there was that many flavors, but I know there's an English toffee whiskey that someone recommended to me. That's something I want to put on my radar. I haven't found it yet in the liquor stores, but it's something that I'm trying to find. to try. Once Big Meat finishes my bottle of Screwball on me, I'm sure I'll have time to buy another bottle of something. But yeah, it's only a matter of time that someone's going to jump on the bandwagon, and then everybody's going to try to copy it. And then I wonder, but if this is the original, and we don't even know, there could be other peanut butter flavored whiskeys out there, but as far as I know, this is the only one that I've seen in the Northeast. So I'm going with it. Highly recommend it. It's Super Bowl weekend coming up. I would definitely try to get your hands on one and have it. It's a great shot whiskey. I think if you're going to do a shot, it doesn't have the bitterness or the burning. That's the one thing about it. It doesn't have that burn or that smoky flavor. It really is a smooth whiskey. Now, it's sweet, but again, for a shot, if you're partying with ladies that may not be a big fan of whiskey, this might be the way to go. Mm-hmm. So that's our recommendation.
I love
Screwball whiskey. Peanut butter whiskey. So screwed up.
I feel like having a peanut butter sandwich right now. I really do.
Yeah, it's just, I'm telling you, you're onto something with craving peanut butter, because I haven't put my finger on what it was, but now that explains it. I have been craving those stupid things lately, and I don't know why, but I think we've discovered the reason for it. Yeah. Okay, it's been a long time. A lot of movies have come out. Disney Plus. Nothing new, like we predicted after Mandalorian.
No new content.
No new content. And I do feel vindicated before we moved on. I did read, just to show you how advanced this podcast is, like we're ahead of the curve, Forbes magazine actually published an article with the same complaint that we were talking about. Like, you're this major platform. Your content isn't really coming down line till late 2021. And just why would you plan it that way was kind of like the premise of the article. And from a business point of view, because unless these people have already paid the full year up front, they were making the case, all right, you watched The Mandalorian, you watched a couple of the new movies that the original movies that they did put on. That's it. Why wouldn't you just cancel and wait till the end of 2020? Like, from a business point of view, it just didn't make any sense. I still feel that way. Like, at this point, I mean, other than my kids loving for the classic stuff, but if I was a millennial and I had an apartment and I wanted Disney Plus, I don't know why I would hold on to it. I would just say, and I've actually heard people say I'm going to download The Mandalorian, watch it, and then cancel it afterwards. It's not a out of the box thinking. I think people have already started saying that's what they're doing. So
yeah, when I signed up for Disney Plus, I got I think it's like the 2-year membership or whatever, and
that's commitment, folks.
You figured it's like there was a deal, and you get the 2-year thing. It averages out to like $4 a month or whatever. But now I'm thinking, gee, I wish I just signed up for a month and watched The Mandalorian, and then that was it, and just cancel it. I'll just wait. I do look forward to the Marvel shows that come out. Because I loved all the Marvel movies, so you have to watch all the series that they're coming out with. They have like 6 or 7 lined up over the next couple of years. Yeah. There hasn't been one released yet, but I think in April or May, I think is when they're introducing the first one. I think it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, I didn't even heard that was that soon. Everything they were talking about that's of value is coming later in the year. You might be right.
Oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe it is later in the year.
Yeah,
I think it is late.
It's a while.
2020. Yeah,
it's a while. Yeah. I'm very excited for the content that's coming, and if they do it the way they did The Mandalorian, they did a great job. Again, it was kid friendly. I don't think it was anything in The Mandalorian that I would say I wouldn't let my kids watch. So yeah, it doesn't have that Netflix R-rated feel to it, but they did a good job with it, and it got really good reviews. And I'm looking forward to the content. Just disappointed. You're really gonna make me wait a year and hold on to this thing when. It's shame on them. I'm still disappointed when you have a major platform. Why you wouldn't have tried to front load some to keep the excitement and the buzz. I think it's just easy for people to kind of say, all right, I've kind of watched all the Avengers. I've watched all the Marvel movies. How many times can I flip to the same damn Star Wars movies? Right. All right, you get kind of... So in the 6 months, you're going to be like, all right. And it's just going to be... I think it's just you're leaving the door open for your competitors to bite you in the ass. That's my thoughts on it.
You haven't been watching the High School Musical show, Azar? That's not...
No, my kids have been watching Jesse and Liv and Maddie and all the other shows. I mean, luckily for me, the only value is that the kids are using it. But other than that, I don't know. It's something...
You're right. There's nothing really...
And can I make a little... We got Hulu. And I like all the content Hulu offers, but I hate the commercials. I'm trying to escape commercials, and Hulu is just filled with stupid commercials that I actually get so frustrated, I go back onto Netflix because I'm like, why am I watching anything with commercials? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't watch. I don't think I've ever watched anything on Hulu, so I don't know. Is there a lot of commercials?
There's a lot of commercials. Like you can't even watch a movie
in the middle of the movie.
In the middle, yeah.
Okay.
It'll give you a counter so you know when it's coming back on. But it's so stupid. You'll be watching a movie, and at one point, I'm with my wife, and she looks at me, she goes, "Why are we watching it on this? Why don't we just see if it's on Netflix or rent it or something?" Like, because it just makes a movie thing that it's 2 hours. Like when you're on Netflix, it's like, I got 2 hours. When you watch it on Hulu or regular TV, it's like, all right, I need 3 hours because between the commercials and the stopping and you lose interest quickly. So,
is there content on Hulu that you can't get anywhere else?
They do have original programming. I haven't tapped into their programming, but they have all the TV shows and all the seasons. Like my son is a huge fan of the Goldbergs, and when we cut the cord, he used to DVR all the episodes, and he was bummed out that he deleted all his episodes. But then when we got Hulu, every season's on it, so we can go and quickly post. So you don't have to really DVR because a lot of the shows you like are on it, and they have classic shows, classic cartoons from the 90s. They have a lot of the Perfect Strangers is on there from like 90s. They have Family Matters. So they have if you like I Love Lucy. Like I was just going through some of the things they have. So they have a broad categories of shows, but there's commercials. Just know that you're gonna be pausing in the middle. So it's kind of like frustrating.
Gee, you brought up Perfect Strangers, and that's a show. I used to love watching that show, and it's never on. I mean, it's not like a show where you can catch reruns of it.
Not on Nick
I've
at Night
never
anymore.
even heard of it anywhere. Yeah. But it was like one of my favorite shows when it was on.
Yeah, it's.
So now I gotta look into Hulu. I did with all the streaming services, like we talked about this last time with Netflix and Disney Plus, and I just ended up subscribing to Apple. Is it Apple Plus?
Apple TV, yeah,
Apple TV.
Yeah.
It was like a free subscription if you have a new iPhone, and I just got a new iPhone, so I was like, hey, why not just get it? And then I started thinking, like, gee, what did I do? There's all these these new shows on here, and you've talked about a couple shows. C is one of them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, am I gonna get sucked into watching more shows on this thing? And you're shaking your head. No,
I have yet to go back on Apple TV. If I'm cutting cost, Apple TV is going. There's nothing on there that excites me as of now. Yeah. Even the C show didn't captivate me that much. Like I watched a couple episodes, but it was nothing. Like it's not that show where you're like, oh, let's watch the next one. Let's watch the next one. Yeah. The next day, let's finish it. Like we were talking before the podcast, that show, The Witcher. I watched the first couple episodes and I was down on it. And then the only reason I started watching it again, I told my wife, I was like, the reviews, how many people were downloading it. It became one of Netflix's biggest downloaded show series ever. And I was like, how is that possible? I fell asleep twice watching 2 episodes. Literally fell asleep in the middle of the episodes because I was so bored. So we rewatched it, and it's slow, but it got a lot better. And I was like, damn, I didn't give it enough, enough time to breathe and kind of develop. But we ended up binge watching the episode, the series in 2 days. So
what's it called?
It's called The Witcher.
And how many episodes are
8 episodes.
Okay. So it's the first season.
It's the first season right now, and it's already signed for it's a big investment. There's a lot of special effects in a sense that it's got the Lord of the Rings feel, and basically, it's like a Lord of the Rings type of movie, episode show. But it's got the guy that plays Superman. The most recent Superman.
I was gonna say which one?
No, the most recent Superman, the big guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, his name slips my mind.
He was in the Justice League.
Justice League. Yeah, he's that. Not the best character. He's just his character takes time to grow on you. But the story
is it? Does he have the mustache or does he not have the mustache?
No mustache. But he's got this long blonde hair, and he talks in this voice that you just want to just slit his throat because it's so annoying. It's like overacting. It's got the Nicolas Cage type of acting.
Are you sure it's not Nicolas Cage?
So yeah, but the show, and if you stick to the story and the way it time hops, you're almost confused, but you get what they're doing. I can understand why it was downloaded as well. Mm-hmm. They were trying to say it was more popular than The Mandalorian. I actually enjoyed The Mandalorian better, but if you haven't watched it, recommend it just because for some reason it's got a lot of attention. So you might be hearing, oh, you know what it's got? It's got the Game of Thrones feel. That's what we were thinking. A lot of nudity. A lot of like it's very adult.
You caught my attention.
Yeah, so it's got that. That's why I was trying to think of it in the best way. It's got the Game of Thrones feel with the story, plot, like these different characters.
So it's a pretty hardcore show, like Game of Thrones. It's not something you could watch with your kids.
It's very graphic. Yeah. The reason I said it was like Lord of the Rings because it has elves and dragons. It's got that feel to it.
Yeah, but like Game of Thrones.
But it's more Game of Thrones from the adult type of approach. That a lot of nudity, a lot of sexual content. So you have your drinks and stream it. Yeah. Very interesting show. But by the end, we were actually disappointed. We were like, crap, they left you hanging like Game of Thrones. Yeah. Now you can't wait for the next season because you're like, where's this going from here?
And you said it's the most downloaded
Netflix series
right now. Okay, so I gotta check that out.
It's amazing. And there was something about the show that I just slipped my mind that I was going to tell you that the body count. I know how important the body count is.
Yeah, it's very important.
A lot of body count. Yeah. I mean, whole cities like what you saw, Khaleesi and the dragon wiping out an entire city. Yeah. Just picture an entire army burning an entire city. And when they say no survivors, they weren't kidding. Okay. They let you know every woman and child was slaughtered.
You know what? My wife watches a lot of these kind of shows she watches a bunch of shows on Amazon Prime, and you know, she was watching something the other day. I walked in. I was like, what the heck are you watching? Like, it's always some new thing. And now that I got Apple TV, I'm like, gee, now she's going to watch another show. Yeah. She probably has been watching The Witcher, and she hasn't even been telling me. I got to go home and ask her if she's been watching. But I that is probably a show that I'll end up going on. And by the way,
I did notice that when I mentioned the nudity, your ears really
was like, hey, all right. Yeah, well, there wasn't any in Mandalorian. I didn't see any nudity there, so I gotta catch up on
you get your fill.
My nudity factor.
Yeah, you get your fill. And there's one character like Khaleesi in Game of Thrones is always naked in like the first few episodes. Right. This chick, I'm not gonna spoil it. You got to watch it because there's a transformation that occurs that.
So now I'm going to stop watching it, and I'm going to see the woman that you're talking about, and I'm just going to be waiting for her to like take her clothes off. And by the time she does, I'm going to be like, I don't even understand what was happening. I was waiting in anticipation of what happens.
Yeah, it's an interesting show. So
by the way, speaking of my wife, I have to say she had told me that she has yet to listen to any one of our podcasts.
Still.
So I was for a while saying like, gee, I can't really talk bad about her. I guess now I can because I know she's not going to listen to us. So there you go.
Yeah.
No holds barred now.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything to worry about. But anyways, I think that will change soon enough with our plans for 2020. Exciting year. We're gonna put all of our plans into effect this year. We're holding off. There was one reason we're working on, but we're so close to achieving what we want to before we go fully live with some of the ideas that we have in mind. But with that said, let's go back to what we were talking about. So we missed the opportunity to talk Star Wars, the Last Jedi, not the Last, is it the Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah,
has come and gone in the theaters now. It's there. It was a big hit in the sense that it did the numbers because everybody was excited to see the last Star Wars movie for that franchise, specific franchise, saga,
or whatever. Yeah.
So I gotta say, I liked it better than The Last Jedi.
I liked it a lot better than The Last
Jedi.
Which isn't saying
the bar, much. Yeah, the bar isn't that high when you have to get better than The Last Jedi. But I did like it. I found the story again, kind of jumpy.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was the only thing that frustrated me. And, I liked where they were, when by the end, I'm like, you had all these great ideas. You could have built it out better. I didn't understand why they went to so many directions where, if you haven't seen the movie, I'd stop the podcast and jump ahead. We're going to spoil some things.
Yeah. But this is a spoiler-filled podcast.
At this point, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. And you really don't care about the movie, so too bad. But the whole Palpatine angle in it was such an opportunity for that franchise, for that series to kind of build on. Mm-hmm. And I thought they just threw it in and kind of wrapped it up where I'm like, man, you could have gone so much more into this. Yeah. Like, why did you... Like, did it just come up with the idea? That's what it is?
I think they just came up with the idea. I think that guy Rian Johnson that produced the Last Jedi, I think he just screwed everything up so bad that J.J. Abrams came back to take it over after producing the first one or directing it, and he was just like, well, I got to fix all these things, and what do we do? The guy just killed off Snoke, who was supposed to be like the next big villain, and it was just so anticlimactic. I know, let's bring back the Emperor. And I think it was just kind of like he just got thrown in there. I like that he came back. It kind of brings back the old feel of the original Star Wars, but I wish they almost had a little bit of a flashback, exactly like how he survived the whole thing. And, I don't know, he just kind of appeared. And the whole thing at the end with like the army of Sith Lords, they didn't really even explain who the heck they really were in the stands, just kind of sitting there. So you're telling me that throughout all these movies, you have a whole army of like these Sith Lords at your disposal, and they're not doing anything? What are they doing? Like, if you wanted complete domination, you would send these guys out to kill everybody and like take over. And that didn't make any sense. It almost just kind of threw it in there.
Which contradicts, like when the earlier movies, when they said there's always two, a master and an apprentice. Yeah. Which one did we kill? But there's thousands of them.
They went away from it. Yeah.
So that's the problem when you, and again, Star Wars was written as they went. It was never really like, it wasn't like Lord of the Rings where the franchise was already written.
Right.
The Harry Potter series already written. Mm-hmm. So you could just follow the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Even Game of Thrones.
But they could have written these last three movies together and said, okay, we're going to release the first movie, the second movie, the third movie. And I just feel like they went one at a time. Like I don't think they knew where they were going with it.
They didn't. And it was a shame because it was, to the end, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. There was new powers that these Jedis apparently had between Kylo Ren and what's her name? What the hell is her name again? This is how great this movie is. You can't even remember the characters.
Right.
But anyways, like they had these powers, the ability, they were like I didn't understand their powers. Like it
was just kind of they were making up Jedi powers as they're going along.
Like they had more power than Yoda. I mean,
right.
Like, did he have like? It just was confusing.
And then even like the power of like how they were able to kind of transport themselves somehow to where they are, but they're not really there, but they kind of are.
Yeah.
And it's like, this power existed all along, but like the Emperor,
no one else used it.
Like he could have used this. Like Darth Vader could have used. Like it was just kind of silly. Now that they just kind of make this stuff up as they're going along.
And I understand why they wrote it that way. Why? You did 6 movies. No one did any of these things.
Yeah.
It was fine. Why all of a sudden? But you wanted to like button up the story,
right? And
you got so far fetched. You're like, well, how are we gonna get her there? Oh, well, she's gonna have this power where they can hold and exchange sword. What are you talking about? But
now, having said that, I did. I remember sitting there watching it and being like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this. It's not that bad, but I was thinking it, and then after talking to other people, like they all kind of said the same thing. It almost was worse than it really was, because it was trying to fix so many mistakes from like the last one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was trying to correct and fix all those other mistakes, the movie felt worse than it really was.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I feel. If the second one never existed, if it was just a good movie, I probably would have walked away and said, hey, this was actually a really good movie. But because they tried to go back and fix everything, it just made it worse.
Yeah, they had to get rid of characters that had no purpose. Like that young Asian girl that...
Rose.
Rose. No purpose.
Which, by the way, she's a good actress, but, no purpose. No purpose in the story. Yeah, exactly.
And they phased her out, which, thank God. She had nothing to do with the story. To your original point, I think, kind of like you were saying, I think episodes 1, 2, and 3, when they brought the franchise back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, right? Was that how long ago it was?
The prequels?
The prequels.
Yeah, the mid to late 90s.
Okay. And I think they had a vision, and you could tell because the stories kind of fed off of each other. These last 3, they're all over the place. You can't connect any of the stories together from any of the movies. They did not flow. You watched the Force Awakens through the Rise of Skywalker. The only was it Ren? Is that her name? What the hell's her name? Not Ren. I can't remember her name.
You're talking about the 3 prequels?
No, the most recent one, the woman, the girl. Rey. She's the only constant through the whole thing. Like where her character is on this journey. everybody else around her
Yeah.
is all over the board.
Yeah.
All over the board. They become generals. They become
They could have done so much more. They could have done it so differently, and it would have been so great. And I just think they screwed it up. But I still can't forgive the fact that you had the 3 original characters of Leia, Han, and Luke Skywalker never being together in a scene, not really even doing all that much in these movies.
Yeah.
And granted, whatever, Harrison Ford didn't want to play the part. They wanted to kill him off, but they should have said tough. And, hey, maybe even kill him off in the first movie, but at least have all 3 of them together in the first movie, at least for one scene.
Yeah.
And just say, and that was it, And I know they want to move on from the old franchise and start with the new characters, but that's not what people want to see.
Yeah. It left you. It didn't leave you wanting more. You left you to the point where kill it.
It's done. Yeah.
Do something else. You ruined it. You just go somewhere else. I like the idea that they're going to come to another time point in the Jedi history. That seems very exciting to me. Yeah. Even what they did with the Mandalorian, it's a snapshot of time, but it's its own separate story. And I think that's good. I think we're at the point. Do not go back to this franchise.
No. And the whole Skywalker, Darth, the whole thing, just end it. Just move on to a whole new storyline, new characters.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think Rey, the character, I actually didn't mind her as a Jedi. I thought she would have been a good character, but everything around her was garbage. I think everything around. I don't blame her, but the villains were terrible, poorly done. He was a mopey till the day he died. Just the moment he died.
Yeah, he was not good. I went back and forth after The Force Awakens. I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to wait for the next 2 and see what happens and what this guy is all about. And it's just nothing. Yeah. The whole battle at the end there where he finally fights, I guess he turns to the good side, and he starts fighting the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
And it's these Knights of Ren that they're building up since The Force Awakens. Who are these guys? They barely get shown, and then when it's time for them to fight, they get their ass kicked.
Yeah,
and it looked what was the point of these guys? I thought these were the fiercest warriors that are out there, and it just, there were parts of it that I just still was like, oh, this is just so silly. But again, I feel like they had to rush everything and squish everything together in this movie to try to fix the things that happened before.
Yeah, no, it's,
and I think J.J. Abrams was just. Kind of his hands were tied. He's like, look, I got, whatever. It was almost a 3-hour movie, I think, 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. And he's like, I got to cram all this stuff into 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah. And I know the battle is you want to keep the original fans happy. I get that. I know there was that conflict. But you can never make the original fans happy. Some of them are just to the point, no matter what you did, you're not going to win them over because they love the original 3. They hated the prequels. They hated everything. That's just some people are. But you can still write a good movie. Yeah. And going back to what we always complain about on this podcast, lazy writing. It's back to lazy writing. Just want to make my money. Let me wrap this up. Let me throw stuff against the wall. And, hey, if it sticks, it does. Great. Now, again, it goes back to how Game of Thrones ended, how the Avengers ended. It's just we made our money. We want to wrap this up. Everybody's done. Wrap it up. Yeah. And it's just.
Let's try to make as much money as possible. Yeah. And, we won't spend extra time or we won't pay, writers the good money. We will just try to cut costs as much as possible because we know it's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, just by its name, yeah. And it's disappointing. And on a sidebar, I did get to watch the newest Terminator. Don't watch it.
I think you talked about this last time. I've yet to watch it.
No, I watched it just now. I did watch. And I actually ended up watching the movie before it, which I never did see, which has Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones in it. I gotta say, not a great movie, complete movie, but when my wife and I were watching it, we were kind of like, I don't know if I like it. But the story was a really interesting twist to the Terminator franchise because in this movie's from 2015, so if this is a spoiler, I'm sorry to you. But basically, because of all the time jumping, basically the Skynet goes in and actually tries to go when they do they go back when she was a little girl, when Sarah Connor was a girl, and try to take her out then, instead of when she was going to be a mother with John Connor. So they're like, let's get them up. And because they do that, then it goes into this whole alternate timeline is created. So it distorts everything. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Again, not the best movie. It's a typical Terminator movie. It's the same liquid type of Terminator, a little twist to it. It was okay. The newest one, they kill Skynet because that last one they wrapped it up. So now it's like, well, how can we make money and bring it back? Now there's a whole new Skynet called the Legion.
Yeah. They just making stuff up now as they go along.
It's an action-packed movie. It's okay, but it's time to let the franchise go. Like you're just now. I'm like, all right, so we're back to day one.
It wasn't nice to see, and I haven't seen the movie, but wasn't it nice to see Linda Hamilton back?
She's a crotchety old lady.
Yeah.
When she was from like the second where she was bad-tempered, and picture her now old, extremely wrinkly, still angry and crotchety. Arnold Schwarzenegger is still in the movie. He builds a conscience. He develops a conscience. He has his artificial. I liked, believe it or not, the Terminator Genesis, the one before.
Yeah.
I actually liked it better than the last one.
Yeah.
Just because of the new. It's like
it was very different.
Yeah.
Like the whole different timeline. I do remember. I remember watching that, and it was a little confusing because of all the time, like all the different things that were going on. One of the best parts I did like about that one, I remember. I think it was early on in the movie when it was kind of like they basically had the same scene as the original Terminator.
Yeah.
Where he shows up and he goes up to those like three punk-looking guys or whatever, and then they like in this one it was like the same scene, but it was like different actors playing those guys, and then like the old Terminator came up behind him, and it like I thought that was kind of cool because that was like a like almost like a little bit of a flashback, and it's like that's how they changed the timeline by doing that. So.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it's one of those movies you might watch it once. It's probably not likely you're going to stop and watch it if it's back on TV again. It's like the other Terminators, 2 on. You know, if Genesis is back on again, will I stop? Maybe not. Like I think this new one, if it's on TV, if it's on when it eventually hits like Netflix or whatever platform, probably a hard pass. It's probably not going to be my first priority to watch. Disappointing, I thought, with was it Steven Spielberg? No, not
Cameron.
James Cameron coming back on it. He didn't direct it, but he did produce it. I thought you'd see I thought it would be better done, but I think they were just reaching to get the storyline back, and basically the Terminators had these new powers that were like really? They basically looked like they were half like those robots from the Matrix. And half Terminator, like with the tentacles, and I'm like, oh god, where are we going? Like these are like from like you're stealing things from other movies now.
The next one they're gonna have like force powers. And
it was just it was a little disappointing because I was so excited to watch it. Did watch it, disappointing. But
all right. Well, I still gotta watch. I am gonna watch it because I mean, like I said on one.
You're a sucker for bad movies.
Well, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Terminator 2 was still one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. I love Terminator 2, and so if this movie is sort of a continuation on from Terminator 2 as opposed to the last 2 that they made, part 3 and 4, or 5, I forget how many there are now. So yeah, I just have to watch it. As bad as it might be, I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah, you got to watch it once, but I want to go out of your way. Like it's something that if you have really nothing else to watch, but there's so much great stuff on TV right now. You know, there's not enough time for bad movies. It's kind of funny to say, my time. I'd rather watch a show that people are saying is a good show because why watch crap if you don't need to anymore? Like there's so much content.
So I got to make a note. Though. So The Witcher.
The Witcher.
And Terminator.
There you go.
What's it called? Terminator Salvation. What is it?
Fate. Dark Fate. Something
Dark Fate.
Yeah, whatever. No, yeah,
the Last Terminator.
Whatever. Look for The Last Terminator.
Yeah. Where can I see? Which streaming service can I find that on? Which of the 8 that are out there?
I paid to rent it, which is I want my money back.
Even worse.
Yeah. All right. So we reviewed movies. Couple catching up on some topics. We have so much to catch up on, but we got to go to current time right now because this is Super Bowl weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting Super Bowl. I'm actually very excited on who's playing in the Super Bowl, just because from New England's point of view, there's a little bit of, got the Garoppolo playing in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited, more excited because Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl, who I think is watching him in the playoffs. I know Lamar Jackson finished the year as an MVP and had a monster year. And when you looked at Patrick Mahomes, even from a fantasy perspective, you're like, wasn't the best Patrick Mahomes year. Then you watched him in the playoffs, and you're like, he is the best player in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, he is exciting to watch. There's something about him that you don't mind rooting for him, even though he's not a Patriots, and even if they beat the Patriots or they were playing the Patriots, it's hard not to want to see a kid like Patrick Mahomes take the mantle from Tom Brady, the king.
Sure.
He's going to go down as all-time greatest quarterback, but he's getting older, and the torch needs to be passed. No better player. The NFL cannot be any happier than having Patrick Mahomes be the future. So he's my guy for the Super Bowl. Like, I want to see.
So you're rooting for the Chiefs.
I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Okay, well, I like this because I'm actually rooting for the 49ers.
You're a bastard. Why would you root for the 49ers?
Because there's a couple of reasons. One, I like Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's because he's dating a porn star. That's the only reason.
Is he still dating a porn star?
The fact that he moved to California and started dating a porn star.
Wait a minute. So I think, all right, so Jimmy Garoppolo, right, the backup to Tom Brady, I think, he was getting kind of a raw deal. He was the backup. He's like, gee, I'm never going to start unless they trade me. And, he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, I'm a pretty good quarterback. I think I can start for a lot of teams. Gets traded, tears his ACL 2 seasons ago. He's probably like, oh, what the hell? Yeah. And now this season, wasn't like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he was efficient. He was winning games. They had a good defense there. And I think it'll be a little bittersweet that if they do win it, it's like, oh, great, Jimmy G, like he won it. That's great. You're happy for him. But at the same time, like, oh, he could have been here. Like, we could have had him. And like, maybe he would have won it here. And so.
But Tom Brady messed that up because he was still so good at the time they had to make that big decision. If Tom Brady really, not that he did it on purpose, he was just that good at that age that he tied the hands of Belichick. I think Belichick wanted him gone, and I think, how do you get rid of a guy who's performed? And he won you 2 Super Bowls.
I know.
It's hard.
But that's why. I say bittersweet, but it's more. I think most Patriots fans around here would be rooting for the 49ers. They would want Jimmy Garoppolo to win. I don't have anything against Patrick Mahomes. I actually like Patrick Mahomes. I hope he actually does win it, in the future. And if he does win it this year, I don't really care.
But your boy Tyreek Hill is on the Chiefs.
But Tyreek Hill.
You love child beaters.
I do, but man, that guy.
Now you heard it, folks. I said he likes child beaters. He says I do.
No. I don't like child beaters. I do like him, but in a way, like he's kind of a loudmouth. What did he say the other day?
Wait. Richard Sherman. What the hell is his name?
Well, he's a loudmouth too.
He's already going off again. He's an ass.
I know. He had to say something and had to ruin my whole thing that I wanted to say about the 49ers.
Yeah.
But if you look at like Travis Kelce, he's kind of like a loudmouth, kind of a showboat.
Here comes the hard on. I
don't like that. Now I'll give you the biggest reason why I don't want the Kansas City Chiefs to win.
Andy Reid?
It has nothing to do with any of the Chiefs organization or players. It's Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend.
Oh, come on.
I cannot stand. Have you seen the videos that she posts?
She's obnoxious.
Oh, she's the worst.
But she's the
one that was like went to the Foxborough Stadium and complained that she was being harassed and like they had to move her seat. And then they find out later that she was in a box suite somewhere like the whole game. Like she never even moved in. She is in it for 50 minutes of fame, and I hate her.
Oh, but yeah, you know what? Why wouldn't she? Her boyfriend is like the future MVP. He's gonna have a multi-million-dollar contract. So
she's riding that to boost up her Instagram followers. Yeah.
She's making some bank. Why wouldn't you? She's not ugly.
So when Patrick Mahomes like has like this freak injury and like his career is done, do you think she'll still be with him?
Unlikely.
Yeah, exactly.
But you never know.
Exactly.
You never know. What's his name? I'm trying to think of the wide receiver. That his wife was a model. He came and he tried out for the Patriots for a little bit from the Jets. He's married to a supermodel. She's like her career's still going.
Oh yeah.
Brooks, not Brooks. I can't remember her name.
I know who you're talking about too. Shoot, what the heck is his name?
But she carried on with this.
She wasn't as now. It's okay to have your little Instagram and you have your, you're trying to build up your followers and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're riding the coattails.
So you didn't mind when Giselle was bitching when Wes Welker dropped the ball and how she was complaining?
She didn't do that in front of, like, she was being videotaped. She didn't even know people were videotaping her. This
is the future. This is everybody's looking to cash in on Instagram.
But she's just so obnoxious.
She is.
She's so obnoxious. Like, if they win, like, I'm not.
Look at
I'm getting
flustered because of the guy's girlfriend.
Yes.
Oh my God.
My number one reason
I'm
why
actually
I do
rooting
not want them to win.
I want that Andy Reid to win this.
I do like Andy Reid.
And
I want
like
him to win. I do.
I like the memes that are coming out when Donald Trump had I forget which football team at the White House, and he got all of them like McDonald's and fast food. And there's a meme now with Andy Reid getting excited to get like all the Big Macs and stuff. I can't wait to see that.
At the end of the day, this Super Bowl, it's like, whatever. If the Chiefs win, no big deal. If the 49ers win, no big deal. I'm like, there's not like one. I don't hate one team over the other.
See, you're wrong. I hate the 49ers. And here's why. I love John Lynch. I love
Wes Welker is one of the coaches on the 49ers.
There's nothing. See, so here's your thing, right?
Yeah.
You hate the girlfriend of the Chiefs. Here is why I hate the 49ers. The thought of Nancy Pelosi getting excited that her home team won. That troll.
So now you're
troll is going to celebrate.
It's political for you.
Yeah, the thought of her.
Your hate for Nancy Pelosi.
I can't. You're talking about his girlfriend. That troll is going to come up there and just take the credit. And she probably has never watched football in her 80, 90 years, whatever the Dark Lord ever existed. She has never watched football. And it is going to be all over with these clowns. I hate the city of San Francisco. I hate the politics of San Francisco, especially because of Nancy Pelosi. Because if you vote for Nancy Pelosi, I just feel like something's wrong with you. So, yes, I am rooting because I don't want to see a parade in that freaking town. But maybe I do because I want them to drive by all the homeless people and all the people that are crapping all over their streets. It would be funny to see what people do when they're trying to wait for that parade and all that crap is on the streets. But that is
So that's your...
That's my sidebar.
All right.
Outside of the sport.
Yeah. And I have my outside of the sport as well.
The thought of Nancy Pelosi celebrating that troll.
I mean, other than Richard Sherman, there's not a lot of loudmouths on that 49ers team.
No, they're both likable teams. They're both likable.
The Chiefs have some loudmouths on their team.
But Tyreek
Hill, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, but
actually isn't Suggs on the Chiefs now? Terrell Suggs. I think he is.
I don't think he's like a starting.
He's on the team.
Yeah, but he's not like an impact player. Like
I don't know. They got him somehow midway through the season. But he's on the team. But still, I mean, it's just
Kelce is. You don't like him, but he's as goofy and obnoxious as Gronkowski. That's what he is. He's trying to be the next Gronkowski in the league. You can't deny that because he sees what Gronkowski did as a tight end and got all that celebrity status.
Yeah. Oh, another reason why I like the 49ers. Now you're bringing up
Kittle.
tight ends. George Kittle.
I thought we were going with it.
Exactly. I forgot about that. So George Kittle. So George Kittle's a little bit like that as well. He's a little bit kind of like,
I think Gronkowski set the stage.
Yeah.
And I think Kittle... But I heard Boomer Esiason say it on the the Callahan podcast, which is actually pretty good. They had Boomer Esiason on, and he did say Kittle is the more complete tight end. Yeah. He's a good blocker. Kittle's he's a receiver. Where Kelce is just basically
Kelce doesn't block.
He just receives. He's a receiving tight end. That's all he is.
And Kittle from week 4 or 5, he was the best per game tight end in the league. He missed a couple games. He missed 1 or 2 games, and that's why his numbers were a little bit less than what Kelce was. But in terms of average per game, Kittle was number 1 in the league.
Yeah, he was. But that
he turned it on.
And I haven't studied it. There's some stuff I looked at. I've been looking at who was the real deal in receiving and running back. I haven't gone to tight end, but Kittle did have a really slow start, and then he really cranked it up. Again, there's a lot of these players that when you go into the 2020 draft for the new 2020 fantasy season, there's some players that I don't think Kittle will slide, but you have to look at like their numbers totally and how they average. did he hurt you enough to knock you out of the like? How much did he hurt you by being so slow? Like there's players like that.
He won my one of my leagues. I was on my team.
Yeah, because he turned it on. He was a machine. Like
it was basically him and Lamar Jackson.
And it's crazy because there was an opportunity. People were like, "Why didn't you trade for Kittle?" Like when I made that trade for Austin Hooper, people were like, "Look." Like they were making fun of the person who traded me Hooper and said, "Why didn't you get rid of Kittle?" And now I wish I did ask for Kittle. I was stupid. Yeah. I should have been like,
Kittle's the real deal. I've watched enough of Kittle, and I mean he is a nut. He's a nut. Like he's like Gronk. Like he's crazy out there. He's starting to do like commercials. He shows up at like at WWE events as well, and he's like going nuts there.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's very much the same way. I just think Kelsey.
He's more obnoxious about it.
Kelsey's more obnoxious. He's like a little bit more taunting, like to the opponent. He's more like, like thinks he's better than you. Whereas Kittle and Gronkowski, the same way. Gronk didn't really taunt and do anything like that. He was just kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you need that in the league. The league's getting boring, and you need people like Kelsey. You need people to make the league fun.
Sure, exactly, and you need villains, and that's why he's a villain. That's why the Chiefs are a villain, and that's why I don't like him, and I want to root for the 49ers.
Richard Sherman is the main, like Seattle. I hate Richard Sherman. He's a great player.
By the way, his comment that he made, was it today or yesterday? Saying that he didn't want to go to the Lions. Did you hear about this? He said he didn't want to go to the Lions because he was getting.
That was a few days ago. Yeah,
because he didn't want to play like in the Patriots way, and he's like he likes to have fun. Yeah. Well, you know what? If that's what your first priority is, then I don't want you as a player on my team.
Yeah,
that's your first priority is to have fun and not be a winner. I mean, it's one thing if the Patriots never won championships, and for you to say that, be like, okay, Patriots have won championships. Yeah. Their way is the right way. Your way is not the right way.
He's a good player, and I get it, but his mouth, his attitude, and he's bright, whatever, but he comes off like such an ass. So he's so unlikable that you don't want to root for him. It's like I don't even care if he breaks his leg on the field.
I was gonna say, is it bad for me to wish that he breaks his leg on the first play and then the 49ers go on and win the Super Bowl?
It's just he's awful. Well, I'm looking forward to my fat boy Andy Reid winning.
Yeah,
he's due.
Well, if he doesn't, I'd be happy for him too. So at the end of the day, it's like sometimes it's just it really comes down to who am I going to bet on, and that's what I'm going to end up rooting for.
But I never thought about it. But Andy Reid's legacy, for the fact that he's brought another team to the Super Bowls. He brought the Eagles, and he was always competitive with the Eagles.
He's considered one of the best coaches in the league. He just never won it. And
he chokes because he chokes. He's a choker.
It is the Andy Reid factor in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
despite how good Mahomes is, it's Andy Reid.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl is really going to come down to which Chiefs team shows up. Because when they're firing on all cylinders, that offense, unstoppable. And if they can put up points on that defense, there's no way Garoppolo and that offense is going to catch up. Because they're just not.
They're built that way. They're a running
team. And I don't think Mostert. And it'll be interesting because the Chiefs don't have the best defense, but it'll be interesting who do they focus on, because technically Garoppolo, when asked to do stuff, can be dangerous, but there's not a lot of times he's asked to, and you don't know which Garoppolo comes up to play. From a fantasy perspective, he's not a great quarterback, but from it's almost like Patriots 2001. Just don't make any mistakes. And he's doing like Tom Brady. He's not winning it. The defense is winning it. You got a good running game. Just don't mess up.
That is true.
So it's almost like we've gone full circle.
Yeah.
We got it like Tom Brady 2.0.
Oh, another guy from the Chiefs, Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
The what do they call him? The honey badger. The honey badger. He's kind of a loudmouth too. Somebody I saw something on the other day, they said something like when he makes a good play, he turns to the offensive coordinator to the opposing team and starts taunting him, because basically he's saying he's smarter than them and he's never gonna the offensive coordinator's not gonna trick him on just shut up. Shut up.
But again, you're hating guys that are trying to bring some energy to the field. I mean, it's tough to hate, because when we were growing up, those are the Lawrence Taylors of the day. He was a jerk. If you looked at Lawrence Taylor, I mean, you need players that bring that kind of energy.
And I said, exactly.
Deion Sanders gets prime time.
Exactly.
He's an asshole.
That's why I said I agree with that statement, but that's why I said, okay, you could be that way. It makes the game more exciting. I'm going to root against you. That's why I want to root for the 49ers.
Yeah, Deion Sanders, as great as he was, but sometimes you're like, I hope someone freaking burns him. I didn't want him to just shut the hell up. I was so sick of prime time.
Yeah.
But and he was great. But he could back it up. I don't know. It'll be an exciting Super Bowl. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be competitive.
Yeah.
But I'll
just
be disappointed.
hoping for a good Super Bowl. And
that kid Bosa, man.
Yeah.
He's a
crazy.
monster. So that front four as a whole is so dangerous. So hopefully Patrick Mahomes doesn't get hurt, because I'm looking forward to drafting him next year at some point. So I don't want him to get hurt.
Before Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I would take Mahomes over Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I
hope you do.
After I saw him in the Super Bowl and see what he can do with his arms and when he needs to with his legs, but he doesn't rely on his legs. Lamar Jackson is all legs.
Sure.
So, but anyways, we had a good full podcast. We're gonna save it. Let's start wrapping up.
Yeah.
So this is our last one. So the good news is that still on YouTube, still on SoundCloud if you want to find us. Hopefully very soon on Apple. We're trying to finalize that right now. Hopefully by the middle of February we'll have that completed. And any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
No, other than enjoy the Super Bowl, and hopefully there's some good commercials as well to go with it.
Oh, that's right. We're going to have to do a commercial review.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and for those that are listening as we wrap up, we know there's going to be a cheesesteak review. We're going to do it. That's going forward. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to try to get that on either Periscope it or Twitter it. Twitter Live, do like a tasting.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the wing eating contest.
Yes, I was going to say.
That one, we're going to podcast and try to get that either through Facebook Live or Periscope.
Yeah.
One of those platforms. We're going to. 2020 is going to be where we're going to step out of the shadows and finally start going live with things. So you guys be prepared.
Right.
Hang on. Like our podcast, follow it, and
subscribe.
And it'll be an exciting 2020.
All right, there you go. Yeah, looking forward to that wing eating contest as well, and may the best man win.
Yes,
I know. And for those people that are complaining, yes, the cheesesteak review is coming. I know we've been here like, hey, you guys teased this on the first podcast. Where's the cheesesteak review? We're still doing our research, people.
Yes.
We can't eat that many cheesesteaks in a short amount of time.
Yeah, we have some ideas, but we're gonna have it. So thank you for joining us. Rate the podcast and enjoy the Super Bowl.